told me that they made it, and then at Christmas when they decorate that area, all the different people help decorate it, and they give him names by It's the neatest little town.
I'm going to check into it.
Yeah, it's right across the Point Pleasant.
Okay. Whoops, I better turn this off.
How are you this evening?
Yeah. I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. You might be on there. All right. Be careful.
We're good. We don't have, well, we have a couple presentations, don't we? Yeah. Or maybe just one.
And
Do we have two? Okay.
she'll do great with TNC. Hope will do great with TNC. So it's a
Oh yeah, there's Seth and Logan.
yeah.
Brad's not here.
Okay, good evening. If you'll please join me for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance to follow. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and all the blessings you have given us. We thank you for providing us the opportunity to serve the citizens of Elkins. We ask that you help us to keep open minds, civil tongues, and warm hearts as we work to make Elkins a thriving community. We also ask that you watch over and guide our country's leaders. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will now call our meeting to order and ask our clerk to take roll.
Councilor Ross Fraganera. Here. Councilor Chenoweth.
Here.
Councilor Quanzo. Present. Councilor Friddle.
Here.
Councilor Guy.
Present.
Councilor Higgins.
Present.
Councilor Hinchman.
Here.
Councilor Lowther. Absent. Councilor Parker.
Here.
Councilor Vest.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, we have an agenda adjustment on here. Actually, we're going to have two agenda adjustments. We actually have a second presentation, which we forgot to put on the agenda, but since that's not a voting issue, we can actually add that. We are live streaming tonight for the first time. I want to remind our council members also and our admin officers, please talk in your microphone so people can hear you, not only on live stream, but also in our audience. Thank you. Is anyone here for public comment? Did you have any correspondence?
No.
Okay, excellent. Then we will start with Mr. Logan Smith on our presentation for the Appalachian National Forest Heritage Center, our heritage area.
Good evening. I want to thank everyone for allowing us to come in and give you a little spiel about our organization that's been in the area now since 2003 as a Appalachian Forest Heritage Area, and just recently the Appalachian Forest National Heritage Area. We have a short presentation here that will kind of introduce you to who we are and what we do and some of the programs we offer and where we're going forward with all of these newfangled programs and planning that we're doing with the National Park Service and other federal agencies. Most of you know who I am. I'm Logan Smith, the Deputy Director of the Appalachian Forest National Heritage Area. To my left is Lucas Ray. He's our Communications Director. He's been with us now for a year. Communications and Partnership Director, I'm sorry. Back over here we have Phyllis Baxter. She's the Executive Director of the Appalachian Forest National Heritage Area. It's such a mouthful nowadays. And then we have a smattering of our AmeriCorps members, both current and past. Some of our alumni joined us this evening. And we have, just by chance, several of our supervisors and site representatives in here that are entwined with what we do on a daily basis in our AmeriCorps program, which is just one of the several different programs that Appalachian Forest National Heritage Area has to offer. So without further ado, I'm going to allow Lucas to run a little show for you.
Good evening. As Logan said, I'm Lucas Ray. I'm the Communications and Partnerships Director with Appalachian Forest National Heritage Area. And I know many of you know who we are, but also many of you don't know who we are. So we wanted to start from the beginning and just give an overview of who we are in this area. Like Logan mentioned, some of the programs we do. So like I said, welcome. We are the Appalachian Forest National Heritage Area, or AFNHA, and that's the acronym I will use now so I don't keep repeating that word. Where is AFNHA? Well, AFNHA is in 18 counties in West Virginia and Maryland. We reach up into Allegheny and Garrett County. We kind of call ourselves on the east coast of West Virginia. And we are in these counties because they share a common theme. They share related forest resources and history, and these places share a place around the Monongahela National Forest, which is really what our region is all about. And we do this with a number of reasons. We focus on forest heritage throughout the Central Appalachian Mountains. We join together to celebrate the Central Appalachian Forest, the interrelationships between the forest and the people who live here. So that could be historic sites, artisans, working forests, communities, natural areas, and we want to network together to offer visitor destinations, educational experiences, and recreation. So why the Appalachian Forest National Heritage Area? Well, we want to work to conserve and share what is special about our region, as many of you know who live here in Elkins and Randolph County. We want to network and connect across political lines and encourage heritage tourism, which benefits our communities, and conservation efforts in our communities. So a little bit about our journey, as Logan mentioned. We started back in 2001 through the West Virginia University Division of Forestry, an extension service which brought together a stakeholder group to create a forestry trail. The vision soon widened, and the Appalachian Forest Heritage Area, AFHA, which many of you may have heard of or know, was created in 2003 and decided to seek a National Heritage Area designation. AFHA completed a feasibility study back in 2006, which received over 120 local letters of support and was approved by the National Park Service in 2006 as well. But for official designation, that comes from Congress. And we have been working hard since 2013 to get that bill through. And finally, in March of 2019, Congress passed that bill, making us a National Heritage Area, one of the 6 new ones in our region. So our area is created kind of based off 4 different areas of significance, or themes. And we share the Appalachian Forest through exhibits and scenic waysides, forest hikes, community festivals, historic small towns, and unique natural places. And so we accomplish these things, like I said, through a broad-ranging topics about what our significance is. And our first one is nature. The forested mountains of the Central Appalachians are a unique landscape, part of one of the most extensive hardwood forests in the world. Rare northern species are found in high-altitude glades and barrens. They mix with southern species, creating an abundance of biodiversity. Beautiful public lands are available for leisure activities such as hiking, outdoor sports, hunting, and fishing. So nature falls very well into our first theme. Our second theme is forestry. As many of you know, the forest headquarters for the Monongahela are here in Elkins, and so this one rings true for us as well. Foresters manage forest land for multiple purposes, such as sustainable lumber harvest, production of desired species, wildlife management, and recreation. With the assistance of scientific forestry and public land holdings, the depleted forests of the early 20th century nearly have all regrown. And today our forests are a significant source of livelihood, production, and beauty. So a visitor can learn about forestry at our experimental forests and state forest trails. That moves kind of right into our next theme of history and how our past shapes us. I know many of you know how many great historic sites we have in our area, in Elkins alone, how many museums there operate in this city alone. But the forest and mountain landscape influenced our history. Lumber harvested during the logging boom helped build and fuel the Industrial Revolution across our country. We have stories of immigrants finding work with the CCC, or the Civilian Conservation Corps, and the Forest Service, and more. And we honor these histories by supporting local historical societies. small museums, historic preservation efforts, and tourism to special historic locations. And then our final theme is culture, a major and important theme. There's a strong sense of place in our region, resulting in unique Appalachian folkways and traditions. People use the abundant natural resources of the forest to create practical objects, so natural artisans. And local pride and rich culture is celebrated through the area's many fairs and festivals, as you may know. And so these are the four themes that kind of formed our organization and kind of gave us an idea of what we would do next. And so that's where we kind of talk about our programs, what AFNHA does right now. I mean, a little bit later, we'll get on to what AFNHA is seeking to do and how maybe you can get involved in that. So our very first program is our AmeriCorps program, as Logan mentioned. Many of our members are here today, sitting in the back. And some of you on City Council are actually some of our AmeriCorps supervisors. And so you know how important this program is. Our AmeriCorps members provide assistance through partner sites in West Virginia through direct service. The AFHA AmeriCorps program started with 10 members in 2007. We grew up to 40 members in 2019, and we're currently seeking 34 members for the next term starting in August 2021. Members commit to a year service with our partner sites, which are scattered throughout our 18-county reach in our region. And so we have a couple of different types of AmeriCorps who serve with us. We have our conservation and heritage community. We serve in conservation community heritage. So they gain experience in conservation, forestry, historic preservation, tourism, cultural heritage, and community development. I know in Elkins, and I'm going to speak off the top of my head, I think we have 6 or 7 members in the surrounding county at least. We have one serving with the Elkins CVB. We have a few serving with us in AFNHA. We had one serving with the Elkins Tree Board here. So we have many members scattered about our region. We have one serving with the Augusta Heritage Center that I remember. But how do we do some of the things we do with AmeriCorps and other members, and that's our partnerships who share our shared goals. Much of what AFNHA has accomplished is through supporting and engaging with partners, and that's really our main goal, is to engage and network with others. Whatever through AmeriCorps member placements, providing fiscal agent sponsorship, networking together towards shared goals and likely future grant programs, something that we can talk about later on. Our partnerships are essential to broadening our impact, and this list is just a few of our partners that we have. And as you can see, Elkins Main Street in the city of Elkins, and the Elkins Randolph County CVB, we consider some of our partners with some of the members, AmeriCorps members who have served with you. We also operate the Appalachian Forest Discovery Center, which is just down the street on Railroad Avenue in the old historic Darden Mill. The Appalachian Forest Discovery Center offers information about places to visit in our region and showcases permanent exhibits, which explore our major themes. Our rotating exhibits go into more depth. Our last one celebrated the centennial of the Monongahela National Forest and focused on public land use. And we're open seasonally, May through October. We encourage you to come out and learn more about what makes our region special, although I know many of you already know what makes our region special. And so we get to our kind of main point. What is our National Heritage Area, and what does it mean? You know, in 2019, as I mentioned before, we achieved our major milestone as we were designated as through Congress as a National Heritage Area. But what does that mean for the future of our organization and for our communities? So our designation was part of the Public Lands Bill, which was passed in March 2019. This effort was led by Senator McManchin and Congressman Clinty, and co-sponsored support from every one of our Maryland and West Virginia legislators. And so we're going to go through what some of the ways National Heritage Areas work in our regions. There are a total of 50 of them in the country right now, and we are one of the 6 new ones from March of 2019. Sorry, there's 55 of them. So a National Heritage Area is a place designated by United States Congress where natural, cultural, historic, and recreational resources combine to form a cohesive, nationally significant landscape arising from patterns of human activity and by geography. Like I said before, there's 55 National Heritage Areas, and AFNHA is one of 6 designated in 2019. And what does that mean? So recognition of national significance of our area. So the National Heritage Area designation gives us national recognition, promotion, funding, and assistance from the National Park Service. We develop a management plan, which we're working on right now, to guide our partnerships, goals, and strategies which will function moving forward. And what does it not mean? It means no new federal land. It means no new zoning or regulations, and no change in land management for public or private use. And a very big important one is there's no impact on anyone who does not choose to participate, blah, blah, blah. no impact on anyone who does not choose to participate. We only work with willing partners. National heritage areas are not national park units. Rather, we receive assistance, technical assistance, and we distribute natural funding funds with partners from national heritage area entities. So what can national heritage areas do? And this is what I mentioned before I got my slides mixed up. These are the number of things that many of the national heritage areas in our region do. And so we're going to go through just a few examples of them real quick, just so you guys understand some of the ideas that we're talking about when we write our management plan. Many of them focus on historic preservation. This can be through direct restoration projects or through supporting partners. Many national heritage areas, such as Baltimore National Heritage Area, National Coal Heritage Area, which is also in our state, support grant programs to achieve goals such as historic preservation projects in their region. Another thing that some national heritage areas focus on is cultural conservation. The Blue Ridge National Heritage Area outside of Asheville, North Carolina, does this through thematic trails that link stories through crafts and music traditions. And some of them celebrate towns of these that go through concentrations of artisans and musical activities, bringing visitors and supporting oral histories. So, like I said, the Blue Ridge National Heritage Area does that. The Mississippi Delta National Heritage Area does that. So, cultural conservation. Another one is natural and recreational assets. A number of national heritage areas have focused around or helped develop land and water trails. They also support ecosystem conservation. An example, our national heritage area is participating right now in a pollinator initiative to help raise and promote and support and promote projects that protect pollinators. We've launched our initiative here, and we're seeking partners to sign our pollinator resolution. We actually currently partnered with the Elkins Tree Board to bring a new American member on who we just hired today to come and help us with this pollinator resolution, as well as the Elkins Tree Board. Education and interpretation. Some places like National Aviation Heritage Area and their SOAR program provide extensive educational heritage programs for K through 12 students. Journey Through Hallowed Ground, which is just on the other side of the mountains of Virginia, focuses on intensive youth education programs for interpretation to broaden audience and bring some exhibits and tours. We have tourism. We know that's a big part of our region. Tourism is an important focus for us, as well as silos and smokestacks in Iowa, and could be a great model for what AFNHA hopes to accomplish. You know, they are another large rural area that focuses on tourism with 117 partners in 37 counties. We only have 18 counties, but they also work, and they have a national forest in the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and we have the same. So they are a good model that we may build off of. And then economic development. You may know Wheeling National Heritage Area or the North Wheeling Historic District. They over there focus on leveraging partnerships to promote economic development in their downtown region. And so those are some of the things, those are some of the themes that some of the national heritage areas around us focus on. And so the question is, what will we focus on? And that's what our management plan is about. And I'm sure many of you heard it. Some of you are on my mailing list, so you've gotten emails from me and Logan and Phyllis multiple times about participating. So right now we're working on developing a management plan to guide our future as a national heritage area, and we want to invite stakeholders to get involved and help with this plan. So why a national heritage area management plan? So it's required by designation from Congress within 3 years. It's not about land management, but about our priorities, our roles, and our partnerships. It builds on our feasibility study, which we completed back in 2003, and it relies on public and partner involvement to set a course for the future of the region. And it's the plan, we're going to years. So it's really important to get our public involvement to hear their perspective on what they believe their national heritage area can do for them. So the process so far, we've hired a consulting firm. Point Heritage Development Consulting has guided our process. We did host a 2019 public meeting in Kaiser, which some of you may have attended. But before we could really get off the ground running, COVID happened. And so a lot of our meetings have been virtual. And some of you have attended some of our virtual meetings. Our consulting team has been able to hold some stakeholder interviews. And we have task groups who are currently working on asset lists, interpretive themes, stewardship plans, and much more. Our last meeting we held was on May 17th, which I saw many of you there, to report on the status from our first year of research and listening. But our next big goal is on July 26th, which is about a week and 3 days away. on Monday, we're holding a planning exchange camp out at Camp Pioneer outside of Beverly. So we're real close here to Elkins, and it's going to help us share ideas and develop recommendations. We're going to have many different subgroups that meet to talk about outdoor recreation, tourism, natural resources, interpretation, and many other items. And we encourage all of you to be there to share your ideas and speak for your community. After that, we'll have another meeting in fall of 2021 where we will have the written plan prepared and reviewed, hopefully by the end of the year. And then we'll host another public meeting to review the plan before we submit it back to the National Park Service sometime after spring of next year. So again, how you can get involved, you can email me, planning, or Lucas at afnha.org. Many of you already signed up to become our monthly newsletter, but we really would love all of you to attend our next public meeting on July 26th out at Camp Pioneer. That's the best way you can get involved. Tell more people about us. Not a lot of people know what a National Heritage Area is or that they live in one. It's a really cool thing that we live in an area that looks to promote heritage tourism and conservation efforts. And feel free to volunteer with us if you'd like. We always are looking for volunteers to staff our Discovery Center and other many projects. And so that's just our website there and social media pages so you can follow us to get more involved. And do you have anything else?
Thank you, Lucy. Just to wrap up there, I know that there's a lot of information, and we're going to follow up by sending out written materials by email to you so that you can get our email addresses and websites and so forth, all of this digital stuff that we're becoming so accustomed to these days. But as you can see, the National Heritage Area program in the state of West Virginia encompasses almost 3/4 of the counties in West Virginia between Wheeling and the Cole Heritage. And then, like he says, the east coast of West Virginia, comprised of the Appalachian Forest National Heritage Area. And probably 80% of our program budget, or our operating budget, is in the AmeriCorps program, between 20 and 40 members each year. One of the things that Jessica and I were talking about with it that precipitated this discussion was the fact that of those members, we get a lot, probably 80% of them are from out of state. They're not locals. Most of them have gotten a college degree, usually an undergraduate, but we've had several doctorates, one of them here tonight. Dr. Milkey is the Beverly Heritage Center Executive Director, and he spent 2 terms with us. And is now, he's what I call one of our non-native invasive species. And in fact, I think all of you are, aren't you? They're members, they've come in from other states, and we've managed to keep them, and they're the good kind. We've turned them into pollinators for us. So they've spread out into the communities and become really important parts of our organization. You have Ben Barton, who is one of our AmeriCorps members, or ex-AmeriCorps members, Benjamin Duvall Irwin, Emily Wilson Hogger, Dustin Smith. You can go on and on of the members that we've brought to this community. Emily not being one of them, but she was here already. Tara Gaynor was one of our members. I think that it's really benefited the city and the counties that we represent, and we couldn't have done it without the City of Elkins' support. Not only in cash, but in kind, and the use of the office space. So we really appreciate that and everything you do to support what we do. And we have, I think, one more. Preservation Alliance of West Virginia is Kelsey Romer back there, is representing them, and she's an ex-AmeriCorps for us, and now we're serving with them and hopefully serving with us again. She just jumps around. Seth and Madeline and Sutton and several of the council members here have been supervisors at sites, so it's been a really great partnership, and I really want to thank everyone for your support, and looking forward to getting this National Heritage Area officially off the ground and doing even greater things. Did you have any questions for us?
I just wanted to thank you. I mean, I think it's awesome, and I can only tell you that over the years, in a lot of ways had no idea. I know you were upstairs, but have gotten to know you over time and spending time sitting in your office and speaking with you, Logan, and finding out more and more about what AFNHA does. And I did have one question about the counties that are a part of the heritage area, how that came about, and are more counties likely to become involved?
We have explored adding additional counties. Most of it comprises the counties that are in the upper highland forested areas surrounding the Mon Forest. We've also included 2 counties in Maryland who are strategic partners and actually have a national park in them. We have, luckily now, a second national park in the region, down on the, close to the region, down on the gorge. So we started off as a trails program, and Phyllis, who's the mastermind behind all of this, got a hold of some ideas about getting an AmeriCorps program, and it just took off from there. So it was a lot of process, a lot of feasibility studies, all done early in the process, and we're mostly fixed in our county areas simply because it's big enough. Thank gosh for Zoom. You know, that's been a great boon.
To change counties at this point would take another bill.
Oh, yeah. So her famous quote is, you know, to become a national heritage area, you literally have to have an act of Congress. So, you know, it's been a tough row. I've been with them since 2008. Phyllis has been with them since before they were them. So it's been an amazing journey. Any other questions?
Mr. Smith, what's your annual budget?
We have currently an annual budget of just under $1 million, 750,000. Well, and that counts some in kind. We do about 375,000. What our AmeriCorps budget is this year? I keep forgetting. It's bounced around on us so much. Typically between 375 and 500,000 on the AmeriCorps from federal, and then that gets matched with cash and in-kind donations from sites and supervisors and of course organizations and cities and municipalities and so forth. And then we have then the operating budget is marginally more than that, and some other program budgets are marginally less than that.
And the National Heritage Area portion of that is around $150,000 a year now. Once our management plan has been approved by the National Park Service, that should more than double based on current appropriations.
And almost all of this requires a cash or in-kind match, and about 75% of our match is cash, and then we become very creative in pulling together in-kind sources.
The only thing that I would add to this is, as Lucas was saying, they are currently looking for members to join for this coming year. So if you know anyone, it is such an amazing experience to be an AmeriCorps member. You learn things that you may not have even known you wanted to know about. But a lot of times it's college graduates, but there are also non-traditionals. I remember the woman that worked with Beelington and all those projects down there.
We've had all age groups.
Yeah, there's all age groups. You get a living stipend, you get a Siegel grant to help with your college debt, and you get amazing experiences, not only with your work, but also with the people that you meet in the communities that you serve. So if you know anyone, go to the website, grab the link and share it as much as you can, because they are looking for people to start up this September.
Yeah, our program year starts usually in the fall of each year, and we're currently recruiting for members. And that doesn't have to be, and they don't have to be, they can be people already doing the work or the service that in the organizations that are already in place. And now they can get a living stipend. If you're over the age of 55 when you start, you can give that education award that's part of that package away to your children and grandchildren. So it's a great program, and to Mr. Frittle's point, our total operating budget seems rather large. Our actual administrative budget is probably 10% of that. They don't give you a lot of money to actually run the organization. They give you a lot to do your programs, the living stipends and the health care in some cases, and all of the travel and so forth. So that's why it's so critical that we've managed to pull together the important partners like you to help us cover those costs. So Any other questions? Okay.
I want to thank you guys for your efforts and also for your presentation today. And I'm trying to free up my calendar a little bit to make some of the sessions on the 26th. So I'm trying
Thank
to.
you very much. We appreciate it. Anyone that can come out July 26th.
Thank you.
Love to have you. I want to give a little round of applause for our AmeriCorps members over here.
Yeah.
Okay, next we have a presentation from Mr. Seth Young regarding the Augusta Heritage Center.
Ladies and gentlemen of the council, Mayor Marco, thanks for taking the time to hear me today. I'm going to do a little bit of advocacy and a little bit of awareness raising about the Augusta Heritage Center and what I believe to be a true community asset to Elkins, West Virginia. First of all, I'm a lifelong resident of Elkins, West Virginia. This is where my family's from. It's a town that I endeavor to make better, and the work is its reward in the business I'm in. If it's not, then I'd probably be in the wrong business. I'm the executive director of the Augusta Heritage Center of Davis and Oaks College. I'll start at the beginning. That seems to be a very good place to start. We're on the cusp of our 50-year anniversary. So we're a 50-year-old arts organization located right here in Elkins, West Virginia. It all started back in 1973 when there was a group of concerned citizens that thought that traditional craft, traditional arts, were on the cusp of being forgotten to time. And so they sought to purposefully schedule classes to pass this wealth of knowledge on. The first venue for programming was actually the Tigard Hotel, just down the street here. From 1973 to 1981, that was where all the classes were conducted. There was 5 weeks in the summer. Most of those classes were craft classes: stone masonry, blacksmith, textiles, woodworking, those kinds of things. It was started by an entity called the Randolph County Creative Council. Now, I've done a little bit of digging into the history of Augusta, and what I've found is the same wellspring that birthed Augusta was how the conditions were set to have the old brick playhouse and EACT. In fact, Dale Wilson, if anybody remembers him, was one of the moving forces, driving forces that created Augusta and laid the tracks for Elkins Area Community Theater, laid the tracks for the old brick playhouse. So this council definitely set some wheels in motion that we benefit from to this day. In 1981, control of Augusta was transferred to Davis and Elkins College, and that's because the program had grown into a place where they needed much more classroom space than the hotel could provide. That was at the same time that they hired Director Emeritus, longtime famed director, Margot Blevin. Margot was a visionary, and so, up until that time, Augusta had been mainly traditional craft. And in the evening time, there was some music, some traditional West Virginia music. What Margot did that was extraordinary was she started these theme weeks that explore different subcultures within Appalachia and also some cultures from abroad. For instance, we now host a Cajun week up on campus. And during that week in July, would you believe it or not, many people come from Louisiana to Elkins, West Virginia to study their own culture because Elkins, West Virginia just so happens to be one of the best sites to study that culture in the nation, especially that week. It doesn't hurt that you can beat the July, Louisiana heat by coming up here to Elkins, West Virginia either. So she started these theme weeks, and anytime you hear somebody doing a blank week, some sort of week, that is a tip of the hat to Margot, okay? So that concept is one of the things that has Augusta rippling effects all over the world. So, that is our past. We still celebrate these weeks on the campus of Davis and Elkins College. But what I'd like to spend the bulk of the time talking about is our future. As we say up at our office, our windshield is bigger than our rear view mirror. And while we honor the past, and in fact we're in the business of honoring the past, we feel that our best days are ahead of us. So when I first got hired and our current artistic director, Emily Miller, first got hired, we had had our lives transformed by Augusta at a very young age. We'd been attending classes since we were in our teens, and we were really chomping at the bit to see what we wanted to have happen up there. Then in 2019, the unthinkable happened, and we needed to pivot drastically in order to even survive. And I'll take you through some of those silver linings that we've developed through this, because it did, necessity is the mother of invention, and it definitely did force our hand on invention. So what we did was we developed this website called AugustaArtsAndCulture.org. And like Augusta Programming, and by the way, if you go the world over and start talking about West Virginia, there's two reasons why people know that name. First and foremost, of course, is the famed John Denver song, Country Roads. But also, many people know about West Virginia because of Augusta. On a normal year, we'll have participants from nearly all 50 states, and usually from about 13 to 18 different countries. And right now on our website, we are robustly connected with every continent save Antarctica, but I'm not so certain that there's not some scientists down in Antarctica taking our classes right now. So here's what we've done. We've taken our summer programming and we've moved it into an online format. And right here, I'm not signed in, so I'm not going to be able to show you a class, but I will take you to the scope of this project. And this really will show you what's happening on campus. So right now we have 75 master artists, and they've all submitted recorded lessons. And right now, the reason I'm the only team member here is because most of them are hosting live Zoom sessions right now. So we have traditional artists from all over the state and all over the world, each collaborating to bring a unique educational product here. Now this is a snapshot of what would happen on the campus of Davis and Elkins College in the summer. We had slated for each one of these artists to be coming up and joining us in our programming up there. I'll also mention while I'm here in the website that we are an AmeriCorps member site. We've partnered with the Appalachian Forest National Heritage Area, and we're very excited about what has developed with that. So, some of you may remember longtime Augusta Folk Life Coordinator Jerry Mills, who spent nearly 40 years in the field of West Virginia collecting music and knowledge. Now, for the last 20 years, that culmination of human knowledge has sat on analog tape in a box in a temperature-controlled room, completely inaccessible by anyone. And I've heard the term million feet of tape when describing the Augusta Archive, and I cannot confirm or deny that, but what I do know is there is a room filled with boxes of thousands and thousands of tape. So what our AmeriCorps has been doing, Hannah Fuller, she's incredible, and I'm happy to say she signed on for a second year of service with us, is she has been digitizing the tapes that are in those boxes. Then those tapes are uploaded to this website. Dissemination is free. We want this knowledge to be as publicly accessible as possible. And already we're getting calls from graduate students from all over the world to ask for permission to cite these works. So I'm going to go down here to the search bar, and I'm just going to type in famed West Virginia fiddler Melvin Wine. And that's going to bring up all the Melvin Wine tapes that we've digitized so far. By August, Hannah's goal is to digitize 1,000 tapes. Let's see how many we have on here. We have 339 tapes in total on here. So this is Melvin Wine's Braxton County Fiddler. This was recorded in 1993, probably not heard since 1993 until we were able to digitize it and put it on this website. So if I go over here to Explore, I hit on that, and we'll see the two sides of the tapes that got digitized, and I can play those, and I'm listening to Melvin Wine. Some of this is an oral history, some of it will be him playing. So. Anyway, I'll let you guys explore at your own leisure. But it is my firm belief that culture is our #1 export from West Virginia to the world. There is not a place that I've gone, and I've toured the world over, that I have not seen the culture of Appalachia and the culture of West Virginia come to life in some way in that pocket of the world, whether it be listening to country music or having a turn of phrase that has become popularized because it was popular here first. And so what we do is we welcome in a segment of tourists called cultural tourists. Now, study after study has shown that cultural tourists spend more time in an area, they want to explore it more deeply, thus they spend more here, they stay longer. Another benefit of our website is we're now hooked up to Google Analytics, so we can capture a little bit more information about our participants. Last year, we had a little bit over 1,000 members pay to join the website and take the classes. Of those 1,000 members, it would surprise you that 30% of them were between the ages of 18 to 25. The next 30% were 25 to 35, so on and so forth. Now, they were all interested in traditional music. However, their second interest was running. Their third interest was mountain biking, skiing, rafting, so on and so forth. What that told me is these tourists that come for the culture need to also come to take advantage of our natural beauty and our recreation that we have in this area. For that reason, we started to develop programming where I call it evening cultural activities. This is something where if you come and mountain bike, go fly fishing, go skiing, then you have an evening cultural activity that can join and draw you into our town even further. So that's everything from a concert to a humanities lecture to a dance, something that gives your nighttime visit here a little bit of purpose beyond going out to a bar. So we've been working with the Randolph County Tourism Bureau, some folks that own cabins, and I'll get to it in a minute, but definitely our hotels here in town to give the participants that want to come here for traditional music lessons a more holistic view of what this area is. The reason that I could not develop such an awesome PowerPoint presentation, by the way, is because 3 days ago we opened up registrations for something that we call an October Old Time Retreat. Due to safety, a little bit of lingering effects of the pandemic, our fall programming on campus was not feasible in its traditional form. Usually in October, we're inhabiting Graceland, we're inhabiting the conference center. This year, the conference center is going to be held as a quarantine bay in case there's any students that fall ill during the fall semester. And I certainly applaud D&E for that decision, and we understand why that decision was made. However, what that, I won't say forced, that's a little bit of a heavy-handed term. To rise to that challenge, we had to once again innovate. So we've come full circle. Just like the original Augusta programming was held at the Tigard Hotel, we spoke with the owners of the Isaac Jackson, and we reserved a block of all 61 of their rooms for 4 days in late October. They were very forthcoming and kind and very easy to collaborate with. We also decided to sell our meals through the 1863. We opened up registration 3 days ago. I've been on the phone and on the internet nonstop since then because one of our classes sold out within the first 24 hours we were live. About 3/4 of the Isaac Jackson Hotel is already sold, and in fact, I'm going to have to call Lamar down at the Holiday Inn Express and reserve a block of rooms down there for the overflow. We have participants coming in from as far as Canada. We have at least 3 from the West Coast near Santa Barbara and LA right now. And so once again, in our pivot back into live events, Augusta is welcoming participation from all over the U.S. I do think wholeheartedly that this session is on a trajectory to sell out. Moving forward, we're going to keep and cherish our weeks on Davis and Elkins College's campus. That'll be our flagship. That'll be our celebration that's heard around the world. However, we would like to have a more even-handed approach with how we're impacting our community by scheduling conference-style programming here in Elkins and in other parts of the state as well. These 3 to 4 day programs will partner with local hotels, restaurants, venues, the Arts Center, and we'll be running 4-day programming, much like our October Old Time Retreat that we're having right now. So the core of this message is that Augusta is an incredible community asset. Towns the nation over would just be head over heels to have this Augusta, and we've had it for nearly 50 years. I, as a citizen of Elkins, West Virginia, have long pined for Augusta to have a more collaborative role within the town, to come down off the hill and run programming here. You've seen that recently with our concert that we sponsored with the Seldom Seen, with Chance McCoy. You'll see it weekend after this one with our 2-day block party we're having on Kearns Avenue in front of El Gran Sabor, and of course the Augusta Festival in the city park. On Memorial Day weekend, the state has called us to help celebrate the centennial of the Battle of Blair Mountain, so we're developing their programming for them. Then we'll have our October Old Time Retreat here. The Boy Scouts have contacted Augusta to run programming at Camp Summit down near the now National Forest, the New River Gorge. We've had folks from Harpers Ferry contact us to run programming in Harpers Ferry during their Christmas celebration. Now, when we're spreading the wealth like this, all we're trying to do is say all roads lead back to the motherland, to Elkins, West Virginia. So a wise state senator recounted to me how Cecil Underwood used to regard the Eastern Panhandle as West Virginia's outstretched hand to the Eastern Seaboard. And so he's advocating that Augusta have a presence in the Eastern Panhandle to welcome tourists from the Eastern Seaboard deeper into the state. Here's what our culture is all about. Come visit us for our fly fishing, visit us for our skiing, our whitewater rafting, our mountain biking, our natural beauty. What I would like to see is for Elkins, West Virginia, the brand, and Augusta, the brand, to become a little more merged and easily communicate readily the value of this town to the world over. How I'm dedicated to do that is my dedication to running programming in downtown Elkins and welcoming citizens. The core of our programming is that it is accessible to everyone that wants to join into it. We do have scholarships available for our October programming. I told you we closed one class. We closed one with 2 student slots left because those will be scholarship students. I would love for those to be Randolph County scholarship students. I would love for them to be some Highland County scholarship students because we do have the power to transform lives with our programming that we're doing. I've experienced it personally, so I speak from firsthand experience. I'd like to thank you guys for listening today. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have about our past programming or future programming or anything we're doing up there on the hill right now. Yes?
Seth, I'd like to compliment you on this presentation because that was outstanding. And I'd like to also note that in travels that I've had around the country when I worked for Mon Power and Economic Development, people knew Augusta wherever we went. And that says an awful lot for what you're doing and what's been done. Also, I'd like to ask, and I don't understand the membership kind of thing, but can an individual become a member of Augusta and go on your website and take classes over the internet?
I'm very glad you asked that question because the answer is yes. So right here, if I go to our online workshops, and now instead of browsing the courses, I'll go to register. So I'm not logged into the website right now. Each of those thumbnails that you saw, that was an hour-long class that was developed by that particular master artist. This project that we have going on right now has 3 facets to it. The artist submits a pre-recorded lesson. If you become a member, you have access for that recorded lesson from the time you enroll until November 1st. The second facet is that each of those artists will lead a live class, a Zoom session. Augusta is supported with grants from the National Endowment for the Arts, the West Virginia Department of Arts, Culture, and History, and the West Virginia Humanities Council. Now, the West Virginia Humanities Council has a big hand in our online programming. They directly sponsor some of these events that are cultural sessions. So last night, I had one with Bob Thompson, famed pianist from Mountain Stage, and he talked about blues and how it developed in the southern part of the state. We talked about how the coal camps were actually a hotbed for jazz back in the day, and how a big band back in the 40s actually made more money coming to West Virginia to do a coal camp than they did going to Chicago or New York. And in fact, some of the first integrated dances in the entire country happened in the southern part of the state. So each artist does a pre-recorded lesson, each artist does a live performance, and then finally each artist submits a piece for us to use in a live premiere concert. So members get access to all that. Now, I'm on our membership page right here, and you'll notice it says, name your price. We're going to suggest that you pay $100 to be a membership. But we also realize that the pandemic has had an uneven financial impact on everybody. And so, as I said, our goal is as accessible as possible, and we're putting our money where our mouth is here, because you can literally put $1 in there. I'm going to pay $1, and then I'm going to add it to the cart. When I add that to the cart, you get an email with your login information, and then you're able to access all these classes that you see on this page. So each one of these thumbnails is a lesson that's been developed by a master artist. And then right here, this is an important lesson. This gives you all the Zoom links that we're going to have. And if I can't access the Zoom links, I haven't logged in as a non-member in so long. Okay, so it's telling me I'm not enrolled, that this is closed. All right, so I can do this a different way. Let me go back for a second. What we have left here is in our events section. So I'll give you a little bit of overview on what the live events are. So this is tonight, coming up at 8. We're going to have Bluegrass Music Theory with dobro master Mark Panful. Tomorrow we'll be hosting a jam. There's our AmeriCorps member, Hannah. She's pulled together a playlist out of the archive that she loves. She's going to be playing it for our members. Here's great country vocalist Carrie Sickenberger is going to lead. This is what I refer to as the humanities lectures. This is Spirituals, Gospels, Blues, and the Black Church. Hubby Jenkins, who's one of the original founders of a band called Carolina Chocolate Drops, along with Risa Gibbs and Valerie Turner. So you can see it's diverse programming, both stylistically and in what's happening right here, hanging out in the kitchen. Cajun Cooking with Michelle Brown. We've sent a ingredients list to all of our participants, and they're all going to cook. She owns a restaurant called DI's. It's a fly-in Cajun restaurant down near Lafayette, Louisiana. And she's going to show you how to cook traditional Cajun food right there with you in your own home. And so one of the benefits of this, and one of the reasons why this is not going to go away post-pandemic, is 2 reasons. One, we've had people say, you know, there's a geographic, logistical challenge with getting your programming out there. We had one session led by Tim O'Brien over the winter that was about the interconnectivity between Appalachian music and Irish music. That session, within the first 24 hours, had 14,000 views. So there's no way we're getting 14,000 people in a room with us at Davis Elks College. However, if we do it over the internet, it's completely feasible. Second is accessibility to those that have abilities, mobility issues, sight issues, issues that keep them from leaving the home. So when we're streaming our classes straight into somebody's home, it's giving them equal access to that education. So for those reasons, we're committed. We call it learning face-to-face and knee-to-knee, right? That's a really great way to learn, is the apprenticeship model. It's probably the oldest educational model there is. There's going to be a master and an apprentice. They're going to sit face-to-face, knee-to-knee, and we're going to take you through it. It's very powerful to this day. However, we're also dedicated to our accessibility, and so for that reason, some of these things that we've moved online, as you'll see, this website wasn't something that we put up for this month, and we're going to take it down. This is the direction we're headed in the future. I don't know if that's might be a long way to go about answering that.
That's okay. Is Mountain Stage coming back this year?
Not this year, but we're in talks with them. And our talks with Augusta and Mountain Stage share a very robust friendship. We have very similar missions. And there's a couple things we've talked about. One is that maybe we run Mountain Stage at a time of year when more people are here in town. So maybe we run a fall Mountain Stage, a winter Mountain Stage, instead of joining it directly with our summer programming. The other thing is that Larry Gross is developing a Mountain Stage show that's a little bit leaner, a little bit meaner, and it's like more of a touring type show. And so we're working with Larry to get, and Adam Harris, the executive producer, to get them up here both with their big show, with their smaller touring show, and then of course Bob Thompson's Christmas Spectacular. I'd really like to get that up in Harper McNeely as well. Yeah.
Actually, if I could echo Councilor Friddle's comment, I did a lot of domestic travel in my previous life, and I was amazed at the number of people that had a connection to Elkins through Augusta. And I really appreciate the fact that you honored Margot as a pioneer to start this off, and you're carrying the torch even further now. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thanks very much. If you get on this site and see that email icon up there, if you pop that, everything comes to me. So if you message on Facebook, Instagram, email, whatever, that's the reason I couldn't put together a PowerPoint presentation for this, is it's all going to come to me, and I'll get back with you. I look forward to collaborating with everybody in this room in the future, and like I said, I really do think that the best years of Augusta are in front of us, and they are very collaborative and very downtown centric.
Great, fantastic.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Seth.
Thank you.
Okay, moving back to our agenda. We are down to our minutes. I would like to have a motion, please, for the proposed minutes from the July 1st, 2021 meeting.
Motion to accept as presented.
Okay, we have a motion. Any discussion or comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you. Under new business, Resolution 1423, approval of budget revision 2022-001-01 for fiscal year 2022. I'm looking for a motion to approve, please.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion. Any conversation or discussions? If not, we need a roll call vote on this, please.
Roll call vote for Resolution 1423. Counselor Friddle?
Yes.
Counselor Vest?
Yes.
Counselor Quanzo?
Yes.
Counselor Hinchman?
Yes.
Counselor Guy?
Yes.
Counselor Parker?
Yes.
Counselor Lowther is absent. Counselor Ross Freganera?
Yes.
Counselor Higgins?
Yes.
Counselor Chenoweth?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution number 1424, accepting conditions of financing agreement and authorizing execution of financing documents for a sanitation truck. Looking for a motion to accept, please.
So move.
Okay, that was Dave. We have a motion. Any
Mayor.
comments or discussion?
Mayor Marco, may I make a comment, please?
Absolutely, because I understand this one's going to be a little more complicated.
Just a little bit. So I sent everybody this morning an email. I hope you all have received it. There are 4 bids on that. I required each bank bidding to give us a term of 6 and 7 year, the interest rate, as well as requesting if there was any prepayment penalty. So the bids that came in were from BB&T, Citizens Bank, Davis Trust, and Mountain Valley. BB&T came in with the lowest interest rate on both the 6 and 7 year. So what I will need to know is if that's who you want to go with and which term you want to go with as well.
Can you give us the numbers on that, different ones?
As far as the interest rate that.
I honestly did not get to see the, you have it there
Okay.
somewhere here?
BB&T, 6-year was 1.37%, 7-year was 1.50%. Citizens Bank was 6-year was 1.99, 7-year was 1.99. They did not respond to the request for the prepayment penalty. Davis Trust, the 6-year was 2.125, the 7-year was 2.23. And Mountain Valley Bank, the 6-year was 1.73, and the 7-year was 1.73.
Can you tell me what BB&T stands for?
Oh, my gosh.
It's,
Thank you. Yes,
it's
thank you.
Branch banking.
Branch
Trust,
Banking and Trust, but they're actually called Truist now.
Yes.
They have a new name.
Yeah, and they're out of North
But
Carolina.
you financed at least 3 vehicles I can think of, or 3 pieces of equipment with them. They have a whole department that handles, is Randy still with them, Tracy?
Yes, Rusty.
Rusty, excuse me,
Yes.
Rusty, that handles financing for municipalities or public agencies.
We currently have 2 loans with BB&T at this time. One
Ms.
being the
Judy, are
sanitation.
you recommending 6 years or 7 years?
For no more different than the payment is, I would go for the 6 years with the stability that the sanitation department has.
Mr. Chairman, I guess we need to amend the motion.
Yes, sir.
With the permission of whoever made it, I would like to amend the motion to go with BB&T for the six-year loan period for the financing of the sanitation truck.
So we have a motion from Councilor Friddle to amend the motion. Any discussion or comments on that? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Have to go back to the
Okay,
original.
now for the first motion. Any comments or discussion on that? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. And motion passes. Thank you. You guys made that easier on me than I thought it was going to be, so I appreciate that. Resolution number 1425 is the reappointment of K. Hopwood and C. Tony to the Elkins Randolph County Public Library Board of Trustees. I'm looking for a motion to accept, please.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Any comment or discussion?
I'm not really sure who Kay Hopwood is. Does anybody know?
Keith Hopwood.
Keith Hopwood? Does anybody know?
Yes.
Okay. I guess that's
He's-
guy.
He lives down on Evenwood in Second Ward.
He works for the probation office.
Probation.
Yes, and he's been a member of the board since 2019. He was appointed to an unexpired term at that time, and now this would be his reappointment. And Christine Toney also was appointed to an unexpired term, and this would be reappointment for her as well.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
Any other comments or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you. Resolution number 1426 is the reappointment of Jay Pastime to the IPMC Board of Appeals. Looking for a motion to accept, please.
Motion to accept.
Okay, we have a motion. Any discussion or comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you. Resolution number 1427 is the appointment in Bros Fraganera to the Elkins Tree Board. I'm looking for a
We ought to
motion
take a serious look at this one.
Yes, sir, I understand.
I'm with you on Charlie.
Looking for a motion to accept, please.
I would move that we appoint.
Thank you, sir. Any comments or discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you. And F is the request by Smoker Friendly for the ABCA special event endorsement for the 2021 Mountain State Forest Festival. Looking for a motion to accept, please.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion. Any comments or discussion?
If I may, sir.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bell, we've done this before with that. Has it all?
Sir, can you please use your microphone?
Or have we had issues with it?
Mr. Parker.
Talk into the
I'm
mic.
sorry, yes.
Thank you, sir.
Guilty. Have we had issues
No, there's not.
in the past years when we've granted this?
Not at all.
Okay, I thought that was my impression, but I wanted to check with you. Thank you.
Any other comments or discussion?
Can I just make a comment? Just, pardon me, just for those who might be new, to distinguish, there are a lot of events that are associated with the Forest Festival, and not all of them will come before council for approval. Some of them, are controlled under the Forest Festival umbrella. The reason for this approval has to do with the ABCA licensing. They require approval from the governing body to grant a special events license such as this. Now, you have some businesses who are existing that have extended floor plans, which doesn't require council approval. There's a little differentiation there. So you'll see the only events that come to council are the ones that need this approval for the ABCA licensing.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you. Number 8, approval of vendor invoice payments.
I move we pay the AP.
We have a motion. Any comments or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, under correspondence and notifications, you have the issued building permits, events, and treasure report. Are there any questions on any of those? Thank you. Okay, the committee reports. Councilor Chenoweth.
Thank you, Mayor. We have a special hiring committee meeting this coming Monday, July 19th at 3 to discuss, pick a candidate that we've interviewed to recommend to council to hire for the fire chief position. We also have a special call personnel meeting on July 19th at 3:45. Main agenda item is to discuss staffing operations within the operations department, or staffing issues, within the operations department. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Councilor Guy.
No report.
Councilor Henchman.
Finance met, and we went over the excess revenue and heard presentations from the Youth Build, Humane Society, and American Legion. And
Excuse
then we
me,
had discussions.
Mike, could you sort of make love to that microphone?
Okay,
Thank you.
all right.
That went on TV.
And we also worked on setting a salary for the new fire chief. Under the ARPA committee, the ad hoc, we went over a 22-page document. We also had several other documents what we reviewed. We reviewed the Clean Water Act and the Drinking Water Act from the EPA, which most of the focus was on. The main thing that came out of it, we're looking at possibly putting on a capital program to lay only water pipe. So we're looking at the cost of that, and that is a possibility.
And this is a team that we had previously that we're looking to bring back.
Right.
Is that correct, Bob?
Yes, sir, it is.
Thank you.
May I ask some questions?
Yes, sir.
What action was taken on like the requests from the various groups?
We didn't decide to do anything at the present.
Thank you.
Anything else, sir? Mr. Henson? Okay, thank you. Mr. Friddle?
I chair no committee, so I have no report, sir.
Thank you, sir. Councilor Higgins?
No report, Your Honor.
Councilor Bras-Ferganera?
Yes, I just want to remind you of the big meeting next Wednesday, in which you all will be able to explore the draft zoning ordinance that has been years in the making. That starts at 5 o'clock, and I encourage everyone to be there and to review some of the materials that Jessica has already sent out. Rules and ordinance also, we met this week and we discussed some proposals that we will be putting in our home rule amendments package for this fall session. We'll see how much we can get together by the deadline. Some of the ideas are extending the age for fire department, civil service candidates, also increasing the technology fees in municipal court, and there's another one.
Trying to collect some court costs as well.
Yeah, that was part of that. So anyway, stay tuned for that, and we will have to change our next meeting till the following week, rather than a regular scheduled meeting. So that is going to be August the 17th is what we decided. Or
I think the
18th.
18th, yeah.
August 18th at 9 o'clock.
No.
It was
10.
following the municipal properties meeting, I think
10 o'clock.
10:30, 10:30.
Okay, sorry. Right. That's it.
All right, thank you. Counselor Kwanzo.
Okay, I struck out this month for tree board. Everybody was on vacation and were tired, and as they should be because of all the work we've been doing. So we decided not to have a meeting this month, and as well as municipal property for the lack of business that needed to come before municipal property. Both have been postponed until August. So the first meeting for tree board will be August the 3rd, 5:30 Darden. And municipal properties will be held on August the 17th at 9 a.m.
I think
Thank
it's
you.
the 18th.
Thank you. That's why we got you, Jessica.
Okay, Counselor Vest.
No report.
And Counselor Parker.
We needed to postpone this month's public safety meeting till next Monday at 10 o'clock. And so I don't report out on things that the committee's not even heard about yet. I'll just do it all after the meeting on Monday. And thank you.
Thank you. Lieutenant Belt.
The only thing I have is the 3 new hires have got accepted to the State Police Academy. They'll be leaving August 16th.
Are our 2 officers back from quarantine now, sir?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Pingley.
Good evening, everybody. On our water meter replacement project, at this time, we have over 4,000 new meters installed out of a total of approximately 4,400 on the contract. So we're getting down to the nitty-gritty on that. We have to be done and wrapped up with the installation by mid-August due to funding restrictions. So we got a last-minute push on to try to get that wrapped up. Phase 2 sewer separation project. Progress down on 15th Street has improved over the last few days. We hit some soils in there that were the worst we'd ever seen. Between all of us there on the job site, there's probably 150 years of construction experience. Not one of us had ever seen anything like that. We had to call in a geotechnical engineer to help us get us back on track, but we did that, and so now we're moving pretty well. There's 2 crews working. One is on 15th Street, the other's on Whiteman Avenue, and starting on Monday, for at least a day and maybe 2, South Davis and 15th Street both will be closed. We have to set a manhole right in the middle of the intersection, so we'll get that done as quickly as possible. And then the crew will turn and go south on Davis Avenue, so it will remain closed. Once they get down to Whiteman Avenue, they'll come back up and start on 15th Street, working toward the railroad. So we'll do our best to minimize the disruption, but it's got to be done. We're making some progress on it. City Hall parking lot, I guess everybody can see what's going on back there. It's moving along really well, good progress. Everything's starting to look pretty good. We got some concrete poured today for the sidewalks. The conduits for the electrical work, those are going in, and we've got another concrete pour scheduled for Monday. So sorry for the inconvenience on that again, but it's going to look great when it's done. I promise you that. Just a quick announcement. Melody sent out an email, I think earlier today. Next week will be Shanna's last week before her maternity leave. So, I mean, if the baby waits that long, so she'll be out for several weeks after that. But I think that they've worked with the mayor's secretary, Rachel, to make sure everything's going to be covered during that time. We appreciate the mayor's office being willing to work with us. So, lastly, it gives me great pleasure to announce that as of this afternoon, the North School sidewalk is complete. We're very happy with the way it turned out, and even happier that it's done. So, oh my goodness, yeah, it's been a haul with that one. I mean, COVID, we got off to a rocky start. We were ready to start and found out that they didn't have all the permissions and rights of way that they needed. So that set us back, during the summer of 2019 for 2 or 3 months, and then last year COVID hit. So it's been a struggle, but we're there. We're there. And if you're out that way, take a look at it. I think you'll appreciate the quality of the work. So,
Mr. Pingley.
Yes, sir.
Just a quick question on the parking lot job. Are the lines that we left in place under the parking lot, were those all relatively new lines and in good shape? You confident about that?
Yeah, the only actual lines in there are a new storm drain and sewer line that goes up the alley this way, the existing alley, and those were put in just a few years ago. So there shouldn't be much of anything else in there to cause any problems. There's no water mains or anything like that.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Mr. Pingley, just a quick question. I know there was some discussion about the entrance into the building.
Yes.
Sizing on the building and sizing on the transfer switch. Can you bring us up to date on what the ultimate decisions were on that?
Yeah, the decision's been to, after we looked further into it, there's no point in trying to put in a transfer switch at this point. There are too many unanswered questions about the generator, what it's going to be sized to do, whether it's even a standby generator or an emergency generator, which is different requirements, as I'm sure you know, for response times. So that would mean a different transfer switch. I think that putting that switch in at this point would be a stab in the dark. We don't know. The only other thing that we've done is just add some conduits, spare conduits, from the transformer pad to the building to be able to accommodate a generator when it is done.
What size entrance did we end up with?
It's 600 kV.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
And Bob, if I can, my understanding is if we go forward with the generator in the future and there's a need for the switch, that'll be part of that project. Is that correct?
Yeah, and the choice of whatever generator the city decides on, that's going to drive the type of switch. So can't really make that decision until at that point.
With your background, are you good with that? Okay. Thank you. Anything else, sir?
That's all I have.
Ms. Judy?
Okay, in your package, you had the treasurer's report for June. I'll give a final fiscal year-end report, hopefully by the first meeting in September, as we have a 60-day accrual period after our fiscal year. In an email also that I sent out, I was notified this morning that our ARPA deposit should be happening any day in the amount of $1,542,466.71. That would give a 2-year total, once we get our second one, of $3,084,933.42. We received our audit contract back from BHM, who was awarded the contract. They have filled out their information, and I've sent all of our required paperwork to the state auditor's chief inspector today for final approval. And then finally, on our insurance premiums, the fire department's insurance renewal was up about 9% or $1,400. The city's general liability policy increased about 6% or $11,000. And our workers' comp stayed about the same, within 1% or about $300 right now. And that's all I have. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you.
Interim Fire Chief Hines.
The report will be short. It's been a quiet month so far. I hope I didn't just jinx us.
Don't say that out loud, sir.
The only major incident that we responded to in the last couple of weeks that I felt needed some recognition and some notification is we responded to a help Harmon with a dump truck accident that left the roadway, and the guys successfully extricated that driver after an hour and 20 minutes of work. There was positioning the vehicle and a tree involved, and fortunately he had very minor injuries after being flown to the trauma center. So the only thing we've got to show for it is everybody ended up with poison ivy, so. And that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Sutton.
Just a quick reminder, as Councilor Brass-Fragonera mentioned, the meeting this coming Wednesday, the 21st at 5 o'clock, will be a joint meeting between the council and the Planning Commission. I hope you've all taken some time to review those materials and will be present. And then also at your places this evening, you found welcome guides, which have been a work in progress for a really long time. We're very pleased with the way that they turned out. Those will be, the purpose of those is more to deliver to those individuals who are considering moving here or have moved here. So we are distributing those as appropriate, still trying to figure out where the best placement for a lot of those will be. Some of them have already gone to the Development Authority, so that way when Mr. Morris goes out and he's working with companies and trying to attract them to our area, he can use those, in his promotions. So I hope you all take some time to look through those. I want to thank Sutton and Rachel and Chelsea, who all spent a lot of time, and the administrative officers and other staff who contributed a lot of time and attention to this project. That's all I have.
Thank you. Ms. Roberts.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a news note that I saw late this afternoon. The West Virginia Land Stewardship Corporation made an announcement that Senator Manchin has requested a $1 million earmark that would go, if it becomes part of the final Senate's budget, that would go to this nonprofit corporation that works with communities to deal with dilapidated properties and funding. They would establish a pilot program in using this $1 million, if this does become part of the final budget, through an organization. Through that organization, they would establish the program, and they would then be able to award grants to different communities. Now, of course, that has to end up in the budget, and then they would establish this program. They've been working on it. It's just that they've needed the funding for it. So as they said, the need to address this problem is great, but unfortunately the resources to do so are not. But they're hoping that this works out. $1 million could go a long way with different communities and grants, and so once this is out there, I would strongly urge this council to consider applying for any grants that would be available. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Actually, Mayor's comments, I'm going to tell a little bit of a story this evening. My wife and I, as you guys know, have a new dog who has an awful lot of energy, so we decided to take Cooper for a very, very long walk last night. So we park uptown and we walk through the city park, and we run into a young couple that just moved here from Gilmer County with 3 young children. And they were thrilled to be in this area. They said that their friends and family were envious that they came to Elkins because they want to move here. So they were talking about all the highlights and everything that they've experienced so far, how much they take advantage of the parks with the 3 young children, and just had a fantastic conversation about how welcoming and friendly everybody's been. We all know that. But I think sometimes people out there kind of forget, what positive things we have going on in our community. So as we were coming back to load Cooper back in the car, there's a bus parked over here in the depot from Pennsylvania. So I thought, I have to take this opportunity, and I'm going to talk to the people on the bus. So I went to the bus driver and said, do you mind if I talk to your passengers? I'm the mayor. And he said, are you really the mayor? And I said, why would I lie about it? So I said, yes. So, but I just want to say they were so impressed by our town. They did the excursion train. They did the Gainey Dancer. They took in a lot of the shops in the area, the Del Monte, the Artists at Work. They had dinner over here, had another band play for them, and we're just blown away by how welcoming everybody was. I know I'm preaching to the choir right now, literally, because you guys have helped make that happen, and I was so proud last night to be part of this amazing team to put the city in that, I guess, that spot to say, okay, people come here and just love, and they're so envious of what we have. I know we sometimes take it for granted, but it was just a very, very enlightening moment for me last night that, you know, people truly do love what we've done here. So I commend you guys for the decisions you've made to get us here, and I look forward to working with you in the future to take it even further. So thank you. And that's all I have. So I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. Thank you.